that's pretty much all the housekeeping we've got. We're on the line for an hour, and I'm sure Jason and Sam will be generous with their time if we do have some more questions from the field. The guys will be more than willing to answer those. Again, tonight's focus is the Hostplus Coach's Corner. So our focus is on the playing and coaching aspects and getting Sam and Jason to share their insights from a Brisbane Bullets and NBL and their journeys to where they're at now from a playing and coaching perspective. So, guys, we might jump right in. I'll take Sam and Jason off mute, and we'll get into our first questions. Jace, Sam, firstly, thank you to you guys too for giving up your time on a Tuesday night during this nice chilly winter period for Brisbane, and a busy off-season at the moment for the Bullets as well. So welcome to you, both of you guys, and thank you again for your time this evening.
Thanks, Vandy. It's good to start talking about basketball and moving forward. So I know players are back on court, so it's nice the NBL's announced a start date. So yeah, looking forward to whatever questions you might have for us, and I'm sure Jason will have some good answers. Maybe some. He's a point guard, so he's pretty smart. So we'll see how he goes.
All right. Well, we might start with Jace first up. I guess in this new world, our new normal that we now live in. Jace, mate, what has been the hardest thing about COVID-19 for you from a basketball perspective?
Probably just the fact it's completely thrown out what I guess a regular off season would be, regular life for most of us. Like, I think the thing that really took a toll was, I guess, as a basketballer and an athlete, you kind of, everything's a countdown. It's a countdown to preseason, a countdown to the season, a countdown to games. And so you kind of get a routine with it. And so then all of a sudden to have a period where you couldn't go to a basketball court, you couldn't do anything really but run on the streets. And so to be taken away, it really just kind of, it gives you nothing in a way of what you're used to. And so for us, just that whole side of, I think it would have been about 6 weeks, no basketball court, nothing around it, no interaction with teammates or personnel or staff or anyone. So I think just that having it all taken back to basically nothing was pretty hard in a way, but also just, it was so unusual. You were just so used to being able to go and shoot and do little things like that. So to not be able to do all of that at all and have nothing of it, it made it pretty difficult for the first little bit. And then I guess you get in such a routine with it too of doing not much basketball-wise to then start up again was also bizarre. So it has been a very weird three months, I think it has been now. Yeah,
and Jace, just to elaborate on that question, mate, and how, you know, COVID has impacted, I don't think anyone's immune to it, but how have you been preparing differently this off-season to what you normally would with an NBL season starting in September, October? What does your off-season look like so far in trying to navigate our way through this really challenging period?
Well, see, normally our season finished, mid-Feb. We had a fever window. And so normally you kind of break it up as soon as you finish that kind of, your season's done. Normally a lot of people take that next 2-3 weeks to nothing. You won't see people, you won't hear from them. And so I kind of did that, and then I was getting ready for QBL or NBL 1 North, and start getting ready for that again. And that would normally take me through to basically the season. So then that gets pulled back. And so it was kind of like an extended break that I wasn't initially after the season. So I kind of use it to just get back to doing some running. I quite enjoy running to an extent, but a few of us, when we were able to do it together, started doing some stuff around hockey fields and football ovals and things like that, and just enjoy some fresh air and not being in a basketball stadium running. And now moving forward that we're allowed back on court, you face the issue of not trying to burn yourself out too, because it's, as much as everyone probably thinks, oh, you should be able to train 7 days a week, you just physically, mentally can't. So for us right now, 3 days a week on court's a pretty good little, just be able to tick over and just keep building a base, and then being able to just do the running stuff still off court and just slowly tick yourself along till you get to preseason, which is now October when we normally start. So you don't want to get to October now when preseason starts and just be completely cooked, because starting in December is a real different thing for a lot of us.
Yeah, and Jace, to your point, the NBL 1 and QBL in previous years has been a great place for our players to spend their time in the off season. And Sammy, I'll throw to you on this one. This is a question from Darren Haggerty, who's on the call tonight. With NBL 1 not taking place this year, you guys were both obviously involved in the QBL championship winning Capitals last year. Can you tell us a little bit about what to expect from the QBL this year or equivalent, or in the months prior leading to the NBL in December? And will both of you be involved in the Caps this year? And Sammy, if I can throw that one to you, in what the NBL 1 looks like for you this season.
Yeah, so it's disappointing with all this that we didn't get a chance to, I guess, repeat, or in the NBL 1 get a chance to run it back, as they say. And so now the good part of it coming out of Corona and Basketball Queensland, they want to get a competition up and running, and so looking to run the QSL level. So it's not the northern teams, but so the thing is, everyone wants to play because everyone's been sitting around not doing too much. So right now, lots of teams are recruiting different players. They've changed the rules a little bit. Financial components aren't really involved in it anymore. It's just you're playing for the love of the game. So you're kind of seeing the people that just want to play. So Jace is going to, from what I'm myself personally, I'm not coaching the Capitals in this little period just because I've taken on the role as assistant GM, and there's a lot of work to do there for me, and I kind of need to focus on that in this short period. But Jason's going to play for the Capitals, and it was a really good group to be involved in for me personally as a coach, and I think Jace enjoyed the spirit of the guys in the group. So they'll play in that. There might be maybe some development players from the Bullets that might run around with Jace, just trying to confirm all that at the moment. But as I'm not coaching, I'm not exactly sure where that's at. Jace might be able to give you some more player details of who's playing for what teams. But for me, in my position, given that our season's been pushed back and it's such a big period of where players aren't playing, they all need to play. So I think you'll see not only Jason playing in the revised QBL / it's called QSL now, but Jason will be playing, Tyrell Harrison, Nathan Sobey might run around in it, Matthew Hodgson will play. So, and then potentially if we, our free agents that we're looking to acquire, that might be part of their package as well. So the good news is that you'll see lots of Brisbane Bullets players playing in the QSL.
Yeah, so it's certainly a great QSL kicks off in August as a Basketball Queensland competition, and will certainly be a great way to see the Bullets talent on the courts all over the southeast in August, right through until our preseason kicks in October. So if you are near a stadium on a Saturday night through this winter and spring, make sure you get down and support our guys and the local associations in Brisbane. But Sam, just continuing on from that, from a performance perspective, what do you feel are the benefits and negatives of a delayed start, the push back to December for NBL 21?
Yeah, we're getting to have a look at it. I guess some of the issues that arise in different codes with the setbacks and delaying, and some of the soft tissue injuries that have come into other sports, whether it's AFL or NRL, just close to home for us, the Firebirds and netball, they're going to play. So we're going to keep a really close eye on that, and we do sort of train with the Firebirds side by side. So just in contact with their strength and conditioning people and their high performance people, just to see things they're doing to keep players engaged and managing loads, so that, as Jake said, 3 times a week's probably the perfect amount right now, just so you're not overdoing it. Your body's building up endurance. So then when you start increasing speeds, and you're not susceptible to getting soft tissue injuries and also that mental fatigue. So there's some of the things that we'll observe from afar from other codes, is how they're managing that. And I guess the positive of it is that if a player is deficient, whether it's shooting technique, whether it's his physical conditioning, there's really no excuse to not get better right now, because you've got a lot of time on your hands. So whatever you want to do, if you want to learn to play a bloody guitar, if that helps you play basketball, go and do that. But it's a real good opportunity for guys to better themselves off the court and on the court. And I think with the Bullets, with Andre leading the team, CJ, myself, Vandy, you've done a bit there as well with the guys. So we have a lot of good basketball people. So our players hope to come October in pre-season be ready to go.
Absolutely. And Jace, going back to you and our last question on what the off season looks like and off season competitions. I guess for you with the QSL, how do you approach such a shortened season, condensed season like that when you're still keeping one eye on the prize and what is NBL 21 with the Brisbane Bullets?
Pretty easy, to be honest. Just the competitive side in you kicks in as soon as you start playing, no matter what. And that's what. Remember last year when I told Sam I wanted to play QBL with him, he didn't believe me and he didn't think I'd play all the games. But it doesn't matter who I play for myself. Whether it might be looked as an off-season comp, but if I'm playing to win, and I'm playing to have fun with a group of guys that I'm playing with. So obviously, the fact that we have QSL now in Queensland, I think, is massive, because in my head, I just kind of got around the fact that I was probably going into a preseason with nothing other than to the preseason. So I think it's an added bonus that we can play some games, and the fact that a few of us will be spread around the league too, I think only makes it a little bit more interesting and allows you to play against some quality talent in NBL players, and also some of the quality getting around in the teams in the QBL/NBL 1 North is pretty good. So I think it's just an added bonus going into the preseason/season that we can play some games before it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at probably gives us a competitive edge with Queensland now being one of the very few states to have a off-season basketball league. So giving our Brisbane Bullets athletes a competitive edge heading into NBL 21 preseason to have potentially 12 to 15 games in an off-season is fantastic. But Jace, we'll stay with you, and a coaching question here, and you've played for some great coaches in your time. And without stating the obvious, because he's on this call, but mate, who is the coach that has inspired you the most in your career?
The most, I would have to say my dad. But I feel like I've taken a lot from everyone that's coached me. I don't think there might be one here or there that I didn't like or didn't agree with when I was younger or something, but I think I still took a lot from him. So I think my dad, I've taken the most from. He did coach me when I was younger, but his basketball, resume speaks for itself. But just what he's given me throughout my whole career from being a kid to now is something that I'm being very lucky to have. Not everyone has a dad that has done the things he's done, but yeah, it doesn't. Dre's been massive for me. Joey Wright when I first came into the league, playing for Sammy in the off season. Marty Clark when I was at the AIS taught me how to be a professional and how to be a professional on and off the floor, and taught me a lot of things about life. So I've been very fortunate with the coaches I've had throughout my whole career, that there isn't many I could say that did wrong by me, which is a nice thing to say as I've moved through my career.
Yeah. Jace, you're getting into the middle years of your career now at in your late 20s. What does the pathway after hoops look like for you? Is it following in the footsteps like a Sam Mackinnon and transitioning from a playing to a coaching role? Is it still unknown at this stage? Like, what does life after hoops look like for Jason Cadee?
Yeah, I guess unknown is definitely probably the best way to put it. But I think if I wasn't involved in basketball when I was done playing, I'd be very surprised. I've grown up with it. As I said, my dad, so when I was 6, 7, Dad was a CEO, started the Razorbacks when they were in the NBL. I've been around the NBL since I was that age. I've helped coach kids. I've played. I've done all those kind of things in camps and stuff like that. And I think one of my greatest strengths as a basketball player is my IQ. And even now I have conversations with the coaches during games and things like that. And I feel like I see things pretty well. So if I wasn't involved as an assistant coach or coaching juniors or doing something in basketball, I'd be very surprised. So I think it's something I'd love to do. And I get a lot of joy in coaching kids and watching kids learn and seeing them pick up things. And when you're a part of that, you only can feel good about, I guess, yourself, but good about what they're trying to achieve. And I think it's a great thing for people to go back and do. So I think I'd still be involved in basketball some way. Now, what that is, hopefully someone tells me in a couple of years' time.
Just nice.
Jason will be coaching in the NBL at some stage, Randy. There's no doubt about it. He's not leaving a basketball court. He's got too good a brain to not be involved in basketball in some capacity. So he'll be in basketball till he's 85 years old, which will be good for everyone involved.
Nice segue there, Sammy. Speaking of old guys who have transitioned from playing to coaching, mate, can you tell us what your transition from playing to coaching has been like, and what it's like to sit on the other side of the fence as instead of being a grumpy old player, you're now a grumpy old coach?
Well, Vandy, when I finished playing, the last place I wanted to be was a basketball court for me. Just had my career sort of panned out with injuries and whatnot. I was probably mentally fried. So I just need to get away from the game. So I really didn't watch basketball, NBL, nothing. I just went cold turkey for a few years, and then you have kids growing up. So I just started coaching my son, and then it just goes from there. You watch someone coaching your son, and you're just like, all right, I need to walk down from the grandstands and get involved and help and give back. And that's where my coach.
Oh no, we've lost him.
We've seemed to have lost Sam with some technical difficulties, so we'll try and get him back on the line in a second and continue that discussion. But Jace, while you're still on the line, obviously there's been a lot of discussion in the marketplace around what free agency looks like and player movement between teams and all the different bits and pieces that happen at this time, or usually earlier in the year. But you've got a little bit of inside knowledge on what the Brisbane Bullets NBL 21 roster looks like. Obviously, still a bit of water to go under the bridge before anything can be announced with player signings. But what can we expect this year from the new talent to the Brisbane Bullets roster?
I think, obviously, I'm still got to get him signed and get it done when free agency opens. But I think with the guys that we're looking at bringing in and the people we spoke about as a group that can help us, I think it makes us better, which is 100% what you want. And I think it also adds to our group in a way of, I think last year we got a bit caught in, we had too many pieces in similar spots, and it became a bit of a logjam, and it saw guys that we all know how talented they are not play as many minutes, and if someone got injured, their role to come back in made it a little bit hard. Where this year, I think you'll see a bit more balance on the lineup, and I think it'll only show, I guess, how good we can be and with the rotations we'll be able to play. We'll be able to play different ways and different groups, but all in spots that will allow people to really flourish. So I'm pretty excited with what I think our new group will be. Still pieces to add and people to get back. Like, I know there's been a lot of talk of Lamar, and I think from a playing point of view and a playing group, we all want Lamar back. So hopefully that happens. But yeah, I'm pretty excited, even though we're a long way out. The guys we've got coming in will definitely add to our group and help us make the playoffs next year.
And that's the $1 million question we'll throw to the man who's in charge of recruiting at the moment for the Brisbane Bullets, Sammy. Where are we at with Lamar Patterson, and can we expect LP to be back in a Bullets uniform in NBL 21?
As Jason said, we all would love to have LP back. We were a fair way down the track with him straight after the season, just trying to re-sign him, just through his management and constant discussions with LP himself, and pretty close to sort of getting a deal done, but then just with Corona, we've put everything on hold. We've reached out again to his management and started those discussions again. LP knows we want him. It's just one of those things. He's late 20s. He's got to make the money he can make in his career, and right now it's sort of that financial decision, and it's still 5 months away to the season starts. So if we don't get an answer off LP in the next week, it's not like we're going to walk away from him. So we'd love to have him back for our group. Third-year import, 2-time All-Star 5, just getting more and more comfortable in our league. And, no doubt, I think if he came back to us, he could be the MVP league. So, fans love him. He loves Brisbane. Just got to wait and see.
And all good indications in terms of Lamar's experience here in Brisbane, his first 2 seasons, and what Sammy, you and Andre, CJ and the group, and how he's been welcomed. And just on that, how do you, obviously there's going to be some new players coming to the club this season. Sammy, how do you make sure the new signings settle in quickly and feel comfortable at the club and in their surroundings and within the group?
Yeah, part of that's just the induction we do, just about telling them about who we are, what our culture is, what we've tried to build over the first 4 years back in the league, and then just bringing them in. And part of that recruitment, you want some guys with an edge, but you don't want too many different personalities. So you got to try to find out how they will mix together and from previous relationships potentially, and recruit the right people. But then once they come in, just putting some things in place to make sure that the group is getting along a good leadership group, with Jason there, Magne, Hodgie. There's some guys there that'll be big in that space, so that in all our free agents that will come in. And that's kind of where LP fits in. It is a big piece for us as an import. He's not all about himself. He loves the guys, loves the group. And if one of your imports is like that, and we were lucky last year with Taylor and EJ, they were great team guys as well. So, but Jace said there was a bit of a log jam with similar sizes. But yeah, I think with the new free agents that we've got, I think we should be able to integrate them into the group pretty well.
Fantastic. And just a question from the grandstand from Darren Haggerty specifically for Jason on Lamar. A lot of times commentators speak about maybe Lamar not being the most athletic of players, but an out-and-out gamer and baller. Jason, could you explain what those terms mean in a basketball sense?
I think it almost, like, if you just watch Lamar play, you can see it. He's not who Casey Prather maybe, where he's above the ring and trying to dunk everything and things like that. But he knows how to get the job done. Like, he can score in a variety of ways. He makes the right passes a lot of the time. He makes the right play. You watch him even defensively. People sometimes question him defensively, but he actually, in our team environment, he actually makes good plays off the ball. And I just think when you see someone like that and the talent they bring and their unselfishness, yeah, okay, LP might take some shots that everyone says, oh, hang on a second, but also in our group, we have an understanding with Lamar that we're happy for him to take some shots just because we know that the basketball player he is, and he's not a selfish person. So when you know someone like that is going to give back to the team, you allow him to play, and then I think that's where you see that side of it. You just see him make plays, and he finds ways to kind of get to where he wants to get to or where he needs to, and I think that's what makes him so good, and I think that's why they probably say that he's just an all-out gamer, because that's exactly what he is.
And Jace, just staying on the player recruitment side of things, from a player's perspective, you've played for a number of clubs in the NBL now, and can you speak to what the process is like of settling into a new club, and how the playing group will welcome our new signings to the Bullets this year?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. When you come off contract and the unknown, sometimes the team you're at doesn't want you, sometimes they do, but you think there might be better opportunities out there. That whole process is, until you're in it, you don't really understand it. And I think for me, I guess one of the good things I feel for me being at the Bullets too, and I've played with a lot of guys, whether it be through junior stuff. I'm in that age now where a lot of the guys I kind of grew up playing against or with at the AIS that are in the league. And so I know for some guys that maybe are talking about coming to Brisbane, a lot of them reach out and say, hey, Jace, what's it like there? What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. And so for me, I found that, I guess, my helping the Bullets is I can actually help people and say, mate, you'd love it here. Brisbane's a great place. I think you'll fit into our group with what we're trying to build and so on. And so I know for me, staying in Sydney was a lot of that. It was home, and I had this whole element of being at home. I knew some of the blokes there in Brad Newley and stuff like that. And then when the chance came to Brisbane, at the time, other than Adam Gibson and Anthony Petrie, who was just retiring, they were the two that I kind of spoke to. And then I had a good relationship with Dre. So my conversation was with basically Gibbo, Peach and Dre. And then at the time I'd spoke to two people rang me, Matt Hodgson and Cam Glidden, asked me what I was doing. And at the time I was unsure. And then I said, I'm going to go to Brisbane. And they said, well, I'm coming too. So I think you find player conversations actually end up I don't want to say they're the deciding factor, but I feel like they have a massive impact on where people end up a lot of the time.
Absolutely. And Sammy, you've obviously as an athlete, you spent some time at a number of franchises and across the country: Southeast Melbourne Magic, Townsville Crocodiles, Brisbane Bullets, Melbourne Tigers, West Sydney Razorbacks. Take us all the way back to sometime in the 90s when you first maybe potentially could have signed with the Brisbane Bullets and an infamous Bullets coach, Bruce Palmer. Can you shed some light into what the recruiting process for you looked like with the Brisbane Bullets back in the 90s?
Oh, jeepers. So 1994 was my first year. I was first recruited by the Westside Saints, believe it or not, when I was like 15. But then they folded, so that kind of went away. But then, so near 93, I was in year 11 at school, and the NBL season was currently on, and I was being recruited by both the Magic and the Giants in Melbourne, and then Brisbane. So Brisbane flew me up here, sort of towards the end of the year, and so I went and watched the game. Bruce Palmer was the coach. I'm pretty sure I went to St. Peter's Lutheran, where that was where I was going to board and go to school and do year 12. And then part of it was just to go with the coach and his wife. And we went out for dinner. And I think I got a little bit I don't know, it was a fancy restaurant. And for some reason, I remember I ordered some pigeon. I don't know why I ordered pigeon, but I was a bit in awe of the whole process. And I remember that. And they gave me some Reebok pumps and things like that. So that was part of the recruiting spiel. And I could have been a Bullet. I was pretty, like like Jace said, homebody, wanted to stay in Melbourne. And that was my first out of Melbourne experience for, I guess, being recruited. And they put on a really good show, but I just wanted to stay in Melbourne at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And Sammy, going back to what brought you to Brisbane? What was the lure of Brisbane in the early 2000s when you came on board and helped the team put together probably what's the most impressive team and for yourself individual season in NBL history? Speak to the winning streak, and I guess what was the lure of Brisbane in the 2000 years when the Bullets were such a powerhouse of the NBL?
Yeah, I played my first game against Brisbane too, against Leroy. But just always loved coming to Brisbane. Like, it was a place where the road trips, just always good memories, and you always stay on the river somewhere. And so part of it's that, and then it's just part of seeing what they were doing with Joey as the coach. The plays they'd had there, I just thought they just hadn't got it exactly right, but I just thought I could win a championship. I was lucky enough to win one in my third year, and then I lost the next 5 championships, and I needed to win, and I was trying to look at a place that would tick those boxes. And I guess with Eddie's ownership and some of the players we're talking about getting, to wait a year for that to happen. But then, it was a great decision. I'm happy with that decision. Got into business as well as part of that. But I look back on those memories as fond, and unfortunately it all came crumbling down. But I look at the good stuff that happened, and for me personally, how I played, a lot of good friends from that group, like the Dylan Bouchers, Mick Hill, all those sort of guys, that some really good teammates that I played with, and we won a championship together.
And Sammy, just speaking to that, what was it like winning that NBL championship for Brisbane after such a long period without a title in the River City? And do you think this iteration of the Brisbane Bullets is set up to achieve something similar in NBL 21 or in the coming years?
Yeah, like back then, getting CJ was a real big thing for us. So the bookends, like we had Mark Break at the end of his career, but was still a good person and a great team guy to have. So they were fond memories. And if I look at our squad with who we have right now, with Jason and Sobes at the point, I know they're not the American point guards, but I still think we can win with Australian point guards and Australian talent. Just got to get the recruiting right, and Lamar Patterson fit and in shape and engaged, put you in the mix. We just have to start the season off really well. Hope with some of our free agents that we're signing, some of them will bring a different dynamic than what we've had in the past, which is really going to help us be a bit of a hard-edged team. So I like who we're recruiting, and I have no doubt with Dre leading the team, and he's something about recruiting, having Dre as the coach. It's easy to have conversations, and Dre's really open and honest with those. So it's been in my position with talking to agents and players, just really easy conversations about who we are and what we're trying to be, and that's win another championship. And I do believe this group that we're putting forward for the next few years will be able to do that.
Absolutely. And a key piece, obviously, for this group is going to be Will Magnay. Jace, you've spent a lot of time with Will over the last couple of years in your time in Brisbane. What has it been like to witness his development and progression as a young athlete, and to go for when he joined the Bullets to where he's at now is probably one of the most coveted athletes in Australia and also the globe.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, I remember seeing him. Oh, he was still at the AIS. We went on an emerging boom, as it was called then. It was like me, Mitch Norton, Clint Steinel, Todd Blanchfield, I think, and then a bunch of those younger AIS kids. It was like him, Geordie Hunter, Matt Kenyon, who was with the Bullets. It was a younger crew, a lot of fun, Xavier Cooks. And I remember back then, Will, his ability to just go vertical. They talk international basketball even now about being vertical at the ring and contesting shots. And he was just natural, so good at it. And then not seeing him all those years until I came to Brisbane. And remember last year, must have been when I first got here. Hodgie tried to dunk on him, I want to say about 10 times in about 3 weeks. And just couldn't get him. Will's presence at the ring just either made him miss or whatnot. And I saw it. He didn't have the confidence in him that you see now. And I think he had a string of injuries since he was a young fella. And I feel in the past, probably 18 months now, he's put together periods of basketball playing. And I think as a young fella, I played so much, and I feel like you can only grow so much when you play. If you're not playing, it's hard to keep getting better and better. And with working with Sammy in the off-season and me and him playing the QBL together, you just seen him get confidence in his ability to contest shots defensively. And then on the other end, being able to finish around the ring, being able to get the spots and just be able to elevate and dunk it, or catch it on the three-point line and rip and go. And you've slowly seen it transfer through the QBL stuff to pre-season, to the season, and now whatever his next step is with all this NBA talk. I know he's a good kid. He works hard, got a good head on his shoulders. So I just think whatever step that is, it'll be great to watch. And yeah, I'm excited for what the future holds for him. Absolutely.
And Sammy, you had the pleasure of really, accelerating Will's development in the QBL last year, and helping to foster him into the player he is today. Is that probably one of the more rewarding aspects about coaching for yourself?
Oh, no doubt about it. Seeing players, achieve their goals and tick boxes, and just Will's, just that improvement was so rapid. And as Jay spoke to about the consistency and the run of injury, he got a free run at it for a period of time and did amazing things. And like I've always said that Will Magnay is the closest thing to Simon Dwight, who's the leading shot blocker now. I've never seen him unblock shots like Simon, and Will's the closest thing to that. So that you can get a job anywhere with that, and it's elite world class. So the rest of his game's catching up now, and he's working hard. And yeah, when you coach, just see those little wins, like even Hodgie, when he doesn't foul out, and you try and work constantly with him about staying vertical, and there's some frustrations and there's also some wins out of that, and that's only going to get better. So I've had a bit of an influence on the bigs more so than the guards with the Bullets, but even coaching NBL 1 or QBL last year, like the young Nick Stoddarts, I've coached Nick through juniors, and he's a frustration to coach, but when you see the good, it's like, mate, you just got to try to instill that belief in them. And some might say I might do it with some tough love at times, but I'm doing it because I want them to be as good as they can possibly be. And that's the art of coaching, just trying to get the best out of players. And when all the players put it together, you win, and that's enjoyable.
And Sammy, just staying on that theme with juniors and specifically around coaching, you mentioned Nick Stoddart as a reference there, but a question from Joy Hooper is on the call. Mate, at the representative level, how do you motivate players who are just there to have a good time?
Yeah, it's a tough one. How do you motivate them? With a kick in the butt at times, but just having communication, trying to work out, hey, you might be here to have fun, but your teammates, like, they're trying to get better. Are you getting in the way of their development? Like, just really honest conversations, and not if they have fun and it's poor behaviour if they're not following or upholding the standards that you want to at training. Some real hard conversations have to be had about potentially giving up that spot for someone else, or investigating a little bit what's going on in their personal lives as well, at rep level. So lots of factors to monitor, but just trying to be that person that they can feel comfortable to talk to is the main thing, so that you can work out why they just want to have fun. There might be something else going on.
Absolutely. And Jason, you've been a big influencer in our Big Shots camps recently, and helping kids have fun. You touched on it earlier in the conversation about how rewarding it is for you. We're going to switch tact a little bit now and talk about our home court and playing in front of the best members and fans in the NBL. Jace, what was it like, I guess, the move to Nissan Arena for NBL 20, and how did you find our home court? So a question from Damien. What are your thoughts on the home ground after one season? What's the noise and atmosphere like being out there on the Nissan Arena floor?
Awesome. It was a weird one. I came from playing, obviously, in Sydney, where I played in an arena I grew up wanting to play in. The fan base we were slowly starting to build in Sydney was getting bigger and bigger. And then my first year in Brisbane came off, obviously, 2 wooden spoons, and they were still trying to build it and find their feet. And I felt like my first season, the crowds and our members and all that, just slowly, you could feel the energy start to build as the season went on, especially as we got towards the playoffs. And then when we said we were moving the Nissan Arena, and obviously it's not your ideal arena, so to say, it's not your perfect arena, but it had a feeling like it was ours. And I didn't have that feeling as much as I did enjoy playing at the Convention Centre in Boondall. It just felt like we could really turn it into something different. And I actually think that's what we did. I think the noise that place makes is actually, as a player, is surprisingly incredible. I think it has an impact. I think that's why we were pretty good at home this year. And we all enjoyed it. It's one of those things that once you kind of get that vibe going and that kind of energy in the arena and people are into it, I felt like our crowd was just so into it from the tip-off of every game this year. And it's crazy how in maybe not your biggest arena, but the noise you can make, it is quite loud, and it really does have an impact. So I think it's one of the things I'm most disappointed about pushing the season back, but at least it means we should have our fans in there. Is we really started to build something pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to getting back to that.
Absolutely. And one of the, I guess, the highlights of NBL 20 was our last home game against the Cairns Taipans from the regular season last year. And, probably outshone maybe any playoff game in terms of the atmosphere and what was riding on that game. Jace, what was it like to be on the court during the last few minutes of that game against Cairns, up 30, but, we're still chasing a margin?
It was wild. I said, Dre rang me at about, had to be about 12 o'clock that day. And he said to me, he goes, I haven't really spoke to anyone except the coaching staff. We have to win the night by 34 or something. What do you reckon? I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, do you reckon we go all out? We get up, we press, we shoot lots of threes, early shots, quick shots. And we're expecting a sellout crowd. And so he goes, there's 2 stories to this. We either have a crack and we maybe win by 30 or win by what we need to, 35. But we could lose by 30. You can go the other way real quick, those games, especially when you do it. And he goes, you don't want to leave people with a bad taste in their mouth. But I remember in my head, I was like, screw it. If we're a chance to make the finals, we have to do it. We can't sit back. I go, maybe we get to halftime and it's not working out. We reassess, but let's have a crack. And then in the end, other than that thing of making the playoffs, which we all wanted, I think it ended up being an amazing night. Just the crowd engagement, the way we played, the way we won. It was the most nerve-wracking 30-point game win I've ever played in, but it was the most fun I've played in a long time too.
Absolutely. And on the back of that, yes, Jace, you've had many wins and losses over your career, but how frustrating was it when you finished that night on such a high, but then on Monday you're not playing playoff basketball? What is that? What's that feeling like for yourself, and what was it like amongst the group?
Shitty, to put it as a word, but we just let ourselves down last year. It was one of those years where we made the playoffs the year before, and I think we did well to make the playoffs. But in hindsight, that was probably us. We got beat by Perth. They were better than us. And I don't think we were at the level of being able to win a title that year, my first year here. Last year, it felt like we were ready. It just felt like if we made the playoffs, I honestly believe we beat Sydney. And then whoever we played in that next round, I believe we were a chance to beat Perth or Cairns. It felt like we really were playing very good basketball that last 10 games. And I take it back to 3 games at home we lost. We lost to Sydney, we lost to Southeast Melbourne, we lost to New Zealand, and we were up by 15 in all those games. And that cost us a playoff spot. And so as much as it hurt more because I thought we were a real chance to give it a shake coming in that 4th spot in the playoffs. And we were playing, I think, the best basketball out of anyone else at the time. So I think that's why it really, really was disappointing missing out.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on the back of that, Jace, what was, for you, what was the highlight of NBL 20? Take out the last game against Cairns. We all know how that finished. But what was the highlight for you? And other than missing the playoffs, what was one of the lowlights for you from last season? The best, probably just comment on your best and worst moment of NBL 20.
I actually think the best thing is what we spoke about before. I just feel like as a club and as a club, we got better. I think as a fan base, we got better. And I feel like it all started to come together. I felt like our fans started to really embrace us as a group. And I guess we've had similar faces now for a few years. And I felt like it just, between all of us, it just felt like it started to really come together and start to build into something that can be pretty special. And I think when you start to get that feeling, you want more of it. And so I guess that's my highlight, really. The fact that it's starting to really feel like a club that people want to play for. We're building a good crowd base where game nights are starting to be a lot of fun. We're starting to add to that side of things too, from the entertainment side. So I just think that was definitely a highlight for me. And a low light outside of not making the playoffs. Not making the playoffs is a hard one to not go to, but probably just those games that we let slip. I think we weren't playing our best basketball at the time of some of those losses, but I really believe we put ourselves in so many positions to win more games than what we did. And so I really think we let slip games that cost us, obviously in the long run, which is the playoffs, but it just, winning becomes a habit. And I think we're slowly getting there as a group and as an organisation. But I guess that was the low light, that we're not there yet, and I think we're getting there.
Absolutely. And guys, we'll switch it up a little bit again now. Last 10 minutes here, and just have a little bit of fun with this and be a little bit more candid. Sam, we'll go to you first. You've spent the better part of the last 55 years of your life in basketball, mate. What are some of your interests outside of hoops?
Some of my interests, well, I do like. What are my interests? Well, I got involved in pizzas once I just trying to find a new career. So I guess you could say I've got an interest in selling pizzas. But apart from that, some fun stuff. I've got a few little toys. I've got a jet ski, which I like to get out and do things like that. Go where it's rivers with the kids, on the donuts, the biscuits, that sort of stuff, or out onto the bay, do those things. Got an old car that my dad and I purchased a long time ago. So, I'm happen. So for me, that's the sort of things that interest me. Pretty simple.
Absolutely. And Jace, for you, what tickles your fancy when you're not on the floor and in the gym? You know, what really makes you go outside of basketball and off the court?
I noticed Sammy laughed when you said gym. I'm in the gym a lot. So don't take exception to that.
To avoid the gym.
I'm in there a lot, Sammy. You just don't see it because you're never there. But for me, I'm a pretty relaxed person. So I'm pretty social, obviously. So hanging out with friends and doing things like that is something I always thrive to do. My partner seems to think that means I just do it to not hang out with her, but I actually do it just because I like being around people, especially guys, people, and anyone that I'm friends with. I always find groups fun to be around. But also got a jet ski not too long ago, so I'm quite enjoying getting up the river on that and out. And I went to Tangalooma for the first time the other day and quite loved it. So things like that, PlayStation. My little man's now almost 10 months, so entering a chaotic phase where he's everywhere, but it's also quite entertaining because he's starting to really pick up on things. So a few of the little things I like to get up to.
Jace, gaming has been an avid pastime of many an NBL player and athlete for that matter. Who is the most avid gamer and technology boffin in the Brisbane Bullets team?
Sobes tries. Sobes loves it. A lot do. Sobes and Will love it. Lamar is big, loves Call of Duty. I don't think he plays anything else. Tries to play FIFA, but he's not. He's okay at it, but not better than me. But there's probably Rubes. Rubes is my roommate. He lives with us as well. But Rubes is very good at, especially Fortnite, and non-stop loved it. So I'd say he was one of the better I've seen on a game. But a lot of the boys, get into some of the sports games and things like that. So it adds to some entertainment on the road, that's for sure.
How you guys are obviously extreme competitors on the floor, and we see it every practice and every home game. How heated do those online battles get amongst the group on the road or at home, late nights, early mornings?
I wouldn't say heated. They get pretty funny though, especially no one wants to lose bragging rights. And the moment you lose a game, you have nothing to say. You can't say anything. So I don't know they get heated, but the competitiveness definitely comes out in people when you play anything like that. And so it definitely adds to the entertainment, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And just to kind of move towards the end of this discussion, but Sammy, you're a Victorian from way south of the border. Football codes, who are you? AFL football's been thrown into disarray by COVID, and we've seen Victoria is going to be locked down for 6 weeks. Who's your team in the AFL, and why did you grow up supporting them?
I break for Carlton, and it's going to be a long time coming before they are half decent. But I got to stick with them, Victorian. But I followed them just because my uncle played for Carlton, and my mum was a Carlton supporter. My dad was a Collingwood supporter, so for some reason I chose to go Carlton. So I'm definitely AFL bias over NRL, although I've lived in these northern states for quite a few years. So if I had a second team, it would have been Canterbury, the Canterbury Bulldogs, because we trained with them when I played for the Razorbacks. I got to know a few of those guys. So, but definitely AFL, and unfortunately, Carlton's a long way off a premiership.
Great time
to
mention the Canterbury Bulldogs. Jason Cadee, probably known as the one of the most. He might be the number one ticket holder for the Canterbury Bulldogs, year in, year out. I think he's brought the Bulldogs song with him to the Caps and a couple of other places along the way. But Jace, are you going to be at Suncorp Stadium this weekend for the Bulldogs and Mighty Broncos game?
I don't know yet, actually. I didn't even know they played there. It's tough times for me as a Doggy supporter. We're trying hard, but we just don't really have the talent at the moment. But now that I know that it's on, I might try and get tickets because I have missed going to footy. But it is tough times as a Doggy supporter at the moment. But I've no doubt that in a few years we'll be all right. I won't have to wait as long as Sam at Carlton, put it that way.
No one should have to wait that long.
So long as the Brisbane Bullets fans aren't waiting as long as the Carlton Football Club for our next title. Guys, on that note, if there's no
Andy, we'll be right.
From the field, guys, we might wrap things up this evening. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Sam and Jace for your time tonight and sharing what's been a really candid insight into your lives, the lifeblood of the club, what's going on behind the scenes during this challenging period. Thank you guys for your time and assistance in keeping our members and fans informed. A huge thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight. It's been great to share some insight with everybody, and thank you for those who submitted questions ahead of time. And we look forward to doing a lot more of this. We might get CJ Bruton and see if we can limit him to an hour of discussion at some point in the off-season.
Good luck. No chance.
We might see if CJ and Tyrell can balance each other out at some stage during this off-season. Guys, the recording of tonight will be available online, shared across our social media channels later in the week. And please feel free to access it, run it back, fire us any questions that you may have, and we'll be certain to address those. Our great membership department will be in contact if you guys do have any membership-specific questions. But finally, I'd like to say a big thank you to Hostplus, our coaches partner and a fantastic partner of the Brisbane Bullets, for sponsoring the session. And we look forward to doing it again soon. Everybody, please have a safe rest of the week and enjoy, for those with kids, the rest of school holidays, and Queensland being a leading state in moving out of the COVID restrictions. But guys, it's been a lot of fun. Again, thanks to Jason and Sam, and look forward to seeing everybody again soon.
Thanks, guys.